How to Start Thinking Big. This is a re-recorded version of a speech that I gave in Aalto University Wednesday Society's birthday brunch. And I was asked to come and talk about growth mindset. I would like to start by asking you, have you ever felt the need to downplay your own ambitions because you felt embarrassed? At least I have. I've been ambitious my whole life, but for some reason others have made me feel like it's not okay. That it's not okay to have those big unrealistic goals or aim that high. And people have said to me like, who do you think you are? Like, why are you talking about all those crazy goals you have? So when I was asked to come talk about growth mindset, I decided to share 5 pillars that have helped me to achieve big things in my career, but also have helped me to build my mindset to where it is today. Because I feel that I can dream bigger and actually have these super unrealistic goals, and I'm not ashamed of them anymore. And even if I'm still 27 years old, I feel that I'm in the beginning of my career, I've been able to achieve amazing things and big things. And I know that there are people who also feel ashamed of their big goals. And I want to be the one giving you a permission today to start thinking bigger and also live bigger. Because you need to understand that when you win, we all win. When you feel courageous enough to share your ambitions and your big visions to others, other people around you will have the same courage as you. And when you succeed, it sprinkles the success around you. And don't mind my baby who is on the background. Because I have always felt that it's important for me as someone different to succeed financially, because I am going to spend my money really differently than a middle-aged guy who has already achieved financial success. I spent my money on nails, on hair, or to have a babysitter at home to help me still be doing these kind of speaking engagements. And you know what? All those people are female entrepreneurs who are doing the nails, doing my hair, or helping me with my baby. So when I succeed, also these female entrepreneurs around me get more business opportunities and more financial success. So the first pillar is to choose your truth. And you can start by asking yourself, what do you believe to be true? Because let me tell you more about myself. So I have been born and raised in northern parts of Finland, in Oulu. And I lived with my sister and with my single mother. And we didn't have a lot when I was young. And I still had all these dreams about becoming a pop singer. I also wanted to be a businesswoman. As you can see from the presentation slide, I dressed as one, and I also wanted to be a fashion designer. So I had all these dreams, but something that was always in common was that whatever I would choose to do, I would go all in and try to get to be known for what I was doing, or actually make it big in whatever I decided to do. I never saw entrepreneurship as an option, though. So I actually didn't know anyone who was entrepreneur. So there wasn't entrepreneurs in my circles or in my family before me. So I never knew that that was an option. In 2016, I moved from Oulu to Helsinki to study in Haaga-Helia, study business. And that's when my eyes were opened to entrepreneurship as well, because that was the first time when I saw other young people coming to these school events and share their stories, how they have started businesses. And it was like mind-blowing to me to see that these young people are actually creating something by themselves and creating impactful businesses and making money and employing themselves that way. So it didn't take long before I started my own business. Just a couple of months later, actually in 2017, in January, I had started my own social media management business. And I literally started from zero, because when I was 18 and I got my first debit card, I remember going to see my bank balance and I hoped that there would be something in it, like some savings or something that my mom would have left there. But actually there wasn't anything. So I didn't have any savings, I didn't have any network, because I had just moved from different city to Helsinki, and I didn't also have any experience of entrepreneurship, of course, because it was just something that I had found out. But for somehow I was able to get my first few clients, and it was only a few months later when I already had few regular monthly paying clients, and one of them flew me to Thailand, and another client flew me to Stockholm. So suddenly me, as 20-year-old, not having any experience before, I was there traveling around the world and employing myself by doing that, helping these clients to create content online and do social media marketing. And it was crazy to me because that was something that I had only been dreaming about before. So now that I was able to do that by myself, it really opened my eyes to see what kind of possibilities entrepreneurship would give me. And I realized that it's definitely possible for me to create a life that I wanted with entrepreneurship. So the biggest lesson at that point definitely was that I can create and build a life that I want and work with clients that I want when I'm entrepreneur. And the change was drastic. It was so big, going from zero to now having these clients and being traveling with them. And I ended up being social media manager because that was the only thing that I could have some credits in, because I had done my own blog since I was 15. I had done Instagram and like that in 2016 it was something that nobody was really like professional at still, because that wasn't something that really a lot of schools taught at that point. It was still pretty new. So that's why I decided to become a social media entrepreneur. But it was clear to me after a couple of years that, okay, it's really cool to do this for myself and live this nice life with the help of my own business, but I want to do something bigger. I want to do something bigger than just myself and employing me. I want to have a team. I want to create something more impactful and not just help people with social media. Like, I know that's a great job and that is definitely probably somebody's passion, but for me, I just had chosen that because of those reasons, like I said before, that I had even some experience in. And I thought about my second business idea for over a year, and I came up with this Career Girl community in 2019. And that's my second business that I started in 2020. So I created this Career Girl community. I didn't know how to create cash flow for it or how to make it profitable. So I needed to start figuring that out once I had started the business. But what I had already created at that point when I started the business was a community of ambitious young women, the Career Girl community, which helped thousands of women. And I created this podcast, Career Girl podcast. And I also wrote this book about side hustles, and it showcased my journey doing business while I was still at school and also working full-time for an employer in this other corporate job. So how did I go from someone who didn't know about entrepreneurship to writing a book about it and helping thousands of others do it? It doesn't matter what is true, only what you believe is true, because with work that will become true. Your thoughts create your beliefs become your reality. This is something that I live by. I think that it's definitely about the work part, because I don't think that you can just say affirmations out loud and look yourself in the mirror and think that, or say that I'm successful and just become successful. I think that you definitely need to become that person who achieves the things you want to achieve. And you need to do the things and the work that someone who has already achieved those things would do. Also, Oprah says that you become what you believe. So maybe you should start by thinking that what do you believe to be true? For example, most of the people would say that it's not possible to write a non-fiction book and get it published when you're just in your 20s. But I didn't believe that, and I wrote the book and got it published. So I think that many people say that something isn't possible even though they have never even tried it. And what I would recommend you to do is that if you have some goals and you still think that there is something stopping you from achieving them, or you think that it's not possible for you because you're too young or too old or not skilled enough or whatever, start thinking that what would need to happen in order to you to actually achieve those goals? And is there any proof that it has been done before? Because I bet that there's so many people who probably have it even worse than you, and they have still done it. They have wrote books and they have achieved whatever you want to achieve, because those people can be the proof that you need in order to actually make that happen to yourself. So the next thing is to 10x your goals. And I like to use a number example because it's easiest to understand. So if your goal is to create this business that makes 100,000 euros per year, what if you instead thought that I want to create a business that makes 1 million per year? 10x goals can also be different than just number goals. They can be something that seems so impossible to reach or to do, but you have now decided to do that. Because I would say that me going from 0 to having several social media clients, like even though that wasn't like a big number goal that I had set to myself, I think it was definitely a 10x goal that I had set to myself and I had achieved. Because I went from something so different to suddenly some really different type of circumstances. So in 2021, I was at the lowest point of my entrepreneurial career. I had tried to selling multiple different online courses and workshops at that point and had over 1,000 clients, but the business wasn't profitable. I couldn't even pay myself a decent salary. I didn't actually pay any salary the first 2 years. And I was looking at the numbers and realized that my business was at loss for over 7,300 euros. And I knew that things needed to change. That is when I came up with this idea of sales training for female sales representatives that also helped and served female clients. And my mentor that time said that it wouldn't work. There's so many other sales coaches who have 20 plus years of experience, and why do you think that your sales training would succeed or you could get some customers to it? But I actually quit working with that mentor and trusted my intuition that this is something real and I can actually get clients for this sales training, because the way that I had created the offer was really compelling to the ideal client. And the first client that I got was Lindex, one of the biggest clothing chains in the Nordic countries in Europe. And the next client was a similar clothing chain. And I got several other clients, and the salespeople in those companies were just like me, young women, and they wanted me to come there specifically to coach their salespeople in sales. And in less than 12 weeks, I had taken my business from minus 7,300 euros to over 10,000 euros in profit. And I was finally able to pay also my first salary. And it was the last month of the second year running my business. But it wasn't the breaking point and where the success actually started to skyrocket the results in my business. Because I decided to go back to the drawing board and back to my old idea of serving individuals and individual entrepreneurs, because I realized that the skill that I had used, or I don't even say the skill, but the method that I had used to create this compelling offer, and suddenly I got all these big clients without any paid advertising that I had previously spent all my money on and wasted my money on. And now I got these clients, like I knew that there would be other coaches and consultants and experts who would benefit from the knowledge that I had now found that would make them some money when they are struggling to get sales. And I also now understood what was the problem before that I had when my business wasn't profitable. So I quit everything that I did back then, quit doing those sales trainings in person, and put all my focus and energy into creating this new online program called Instant Growth Accelerator, a 12-week program that I didn't know that would it work, but I now also had this intuition that, okay, this is maybe something that I have. And also I was now at this point willing to just commit and do the work to get it up the ground. And here is a picture of me with the clients that I got, because suddenly I had 30 clients that I had helped, and a picture of me with these clients meeting in person. That was the biggest turning point in my business. And I still remember posting my first post about this on this Facebook group. And at first I saw that like only a couple of likes, or like nobody commented on it. And I remember closing my laptop and coming back the next day and seeing hundreds of people commenting on this post. On that post that I thought that wouldn't work. So I accidentally ended up 10xing my company before even knowing about this ideology of 10xing, and 10x is easier than 2x. And that is actually a book by Dan Sullivan, and I really highly recommend you to read that. And I've since learned why it's actually easier to 10x your business than double it. Because there isn't a lot of competition who are doing that. And when everybody has similar goals, they are doing similar actions and they are doing similar things to reach those goals. So 10x goals actually forces you to do things differently. And when you're doing things differently, you will stand out from the crowd and from your field. And also you can't do it alone. So I spent, I would say, the same amount time of working while I was just making under 100,000 euros per year than now that my business was doing almost 900,000 in a year. So it isn't about doubling your working hours. But yeah, you need to also take radical responsibility. And what I mean by that is that you own your successes, but you also own your failures. I started smart mentoring while being pregnant, and I remember making the decision to, should I now start the business and go all in and fully commit to it, or should I wait another year and see what it's like to being pregnant and seeing what it's like to be with the baby, and then on my maternity leave start this new business. But as impatient as I am, I decided to go all in, start the business, only spent 2 months on maternity leave, and then after that started working full-time on my business that I still run to this date. And the hardest time was when our daughter was still a baby, and I needed to go to the office and do work that didn't even bring results. In fact, that was a point in our life when we needed to sell our car and pause our mortgage because we didn't have any other income that the support that new entrepreneurs get in Finland and what my husband got when he was staying at home, but it wasn't really enough for us to have our current car and even pay our mortgage at that time. And I'm actually really lucky that my partner has never doubted me. He also believed in me in that point, so that I actually could continue the business. And even though I had all the reasons to quit, I had the baby, so I could have spent, of course, all my time with the newborn. But I also slept so badly. I was tired, and the business wasn't even providing any income. So I had all the reasons to quit. And so you might have all these types of reasons and excuses even to not do what you would be supposed to do in order to actually achieve what you have planned on achieving. And the tricky part is that all those excuses and reasons are usually valid. They are true. Like, of course, like if you have a baby and you're tired, it is a reason enough to stop working. But when you're an entrepreneur and you have decided to do something and live the bigger life, it is your responsibility to also decide how to react and what type of action to take. And living a big life and achieving massive goals is hard. These are like 10x goals are something that 99% of people are not achieving, and people think that it's crazy to even have those types of goals, and it is so hard and it's lonely. You face problems constantly and you're taken out of your comfort zone. And even if you think that, well, Marianne had those problems 3 years ago when she had her first child, I still have problems, but they are a different set of problems today. They are hard and I need to solve them. But you know what is even harder? Settling to circumstances when you know that you should be doing so much more, or that you would want to do something very different than you're currently doing. So when you are not doing what you would actually want to do, I think that also has problems, and your life won't be easy. I like to think that we choose our own problems, and easy choices now lead to harder life in the future, and hard choices now lead to easier life in the future. Right now, I don't need to go to the office and work without any results or income with my current or second child now that is currently on my lap, and I definitely have it more easy this time because I had made the harder choice before. And also those easy choices when you are doing them and not taking the risks that you know you would want to actually take, but you choose the easier road now because you want to be safe. Those choices are leading your life to be harder in the future when you are not living the life that you would actually want to live. So choose your own hard. Because the hard typically isn't that hard. Usually the biggest results come from simple actions, which are not that hard. But the hardest thing is to actually stay consistent and do the boring work, even when it doesn't bring any results. So now that you have all these massive goals, the 10x goals, you need to embody the long-term thinking. Because big ambitious goals can feel overwhelming if you are trying to reach them in a short schedule. I've shown you examples of how I've been able to achieve big things in short periods of time, and it is true, you can do massive things in short periods of time, but what I've always been thinking back to my head in those times have been that I have fully committed in doing anything that I need to do and be 100% in before I achieve what I have set to myself that I want to achieve. So usually what ends up happening when you are fully committed is that you actually achieve those goals faster than you think. And that's what has happened to me. But I've heard Tony Robbins say that start seeing your goals in decades rather than years or in months or weeks. And that has actually helped me to start thinking that what I want to achieve in my 20s or in my 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Because my vision is to become as influential businesswoman as Oprah is. But if you look at her and her career, she's been around more than I have been alive. And her success and the power that she currently has didn't happen overnight or even in one decade. So now that I see that what I want to, like my bigger vision, what it is, I know that right now the biggest thing that I can do is to commit and focus on building my company. Because I need to, and I know that will take me closer to my biggest personal goal of becoming this globally recognized role model for entrepreneurs. But also if I thought about it, I wouldn't be ready to become this global leader right now because I still have work to do. If right now I was asked to come and talk to masses, to thousands of people in a seminar or whatever, I wouldn't be ready to do that. I still need to practice my entrepreneurial skills, build and have proofs to build in building a bigger company, helping more people, and also learning my English. I want to be more fluent in English to do that. So if you think about your biggest goals and you feel like impatient that, I really wish that I could have already achieved those. If you really think about it, would you be ready to do that? Because I definitely believe that you are in the place where you are supposed to be at this moment in life. And also thinking in decades will help you to minimize the problems that you currently have. Because if I think about my problems that I currently need to solve, I always think that, will I see this as a problem in 20 years? Because probably not. I then know how to figure these things out and how to solve these issues, and I will be so much better. And I have needed to go through those struggles in order to become that better version of myself. And actually, these massive goals are just like a horizon. Like it is for me to become this influential person as Oprah. Your 10x goals are like this horizon as well. You can't really get there. You can walk towards that, but you always come up with a new goal just like horizon just goes further and further, you can't ever reach that. And that is why I really think that the goal is actually just doing the work, just doing what you are supposed to do in this planet. And start loving that. And then the achievements will come, but you will always come up with something bigger and something else to achieve. Now we've talked about what we want, but one question that we usually forget is, what are we actually committed to do or sacrifice in order to get what we want? All the time I talk to entrepreneurs who want to achieve this or that, but when I ask like, okay, well, what are you currently doing, or what have you needed to sacrifice in order to actually reach that? They haven't done anything. They are just talking about those goals. So some questions that you can start asking yourself and actually write down these things to create the future you are here. So you can ask yourself, what type of character traits the future you has? And for me, that is, I want to be bold, I want to be relentless and fearless, the forerunner in my industry, and powerful and trendy. You can also think that what does she or he look like? Because that is something that we usually can admire somebody and also the way they look, and we think that, well, when I've achieved this or that, then I have the time to get fit and look the way that I have always wanted. But you can start by doing that already today. And what are her or his achievements? And if you think about it in this way, that you have already achieved those things, what would you, or what kind of decisions would you make today? So what kind of decisions would make that person would make who has already achieved the things that you want to achieve? And who are her or his mentors? Who are you listening to? And what are his or hers unquestionable standards? I think this is one of the biggest, because you don't become your biggest goals, but you actually become the way that you set your highest standards to. We are not the highest version of ourselves which we can imagine. We are the lowest version of ourselves which we can accept. Understand that you will do nothing to achieve your dreams, but fight like hell to not breach your standards. So if you want to achieve your dreams and goals, you must turn them into irrefutable standards. And that was a quote from Sam Ovens, and that is also something that I live by. And I practice that at the gym, for example, because I started to going more actively to the gym after giving birth to our second daughter, and sometimes I'm very tired when I'm at the gym, and I would like to skip some sets. But and I know that nobody would know. Nobody would know that I skipped some sets or didn't do something. But you know who would know? Me. So if I can't rely on myself in these most simple things in life, how could I expect others to rely on me? And if I have set a standard for myself to always be truthful, I need to start by being truthful also when no one is watching. So, the final story here is that when others ask you, once you start thinking bigger and sharing your big visions and your massive 10x goals, others might ask, like, what is enough for you? Like, when are you going to stop? And isn't that already enough? Why are you reaching even higher? You don't need that. Yeah, you don't need, like nobody needs to achieve 10x goals. It always becomes or comes down to what you want to do. It's more about want than needs. This is my quote. It's not about what is enough for you. It's a journey of figuring out what you're capable of reaching. So instead of asking, when is it enough, or like, I will stop once I've achieved this goal. My baby is smiling at me right now. It is more about doing what you love and you feel passionate about, and what is your calling in this planet, doing that and just seeing how far can you go by doing that. I think it's beautiful. Like, I don't see an end here. It won't end until I end. And I just want to see how far can I go. I will never stop learning, and you shouldn't either. You shouldn't never stop reaching higher. Don't make it as something bad or vicious to always want more. I think it's beautiful, and you should definitely do that. Take breaks when you need, but never stop. Never stop reaching higher and thinking bigger. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I think it's something that I also have thought about, and for me, I have written this entrepreneurial diary, and I also think that, okay, well, this is a base for my future book about my career in the future that I can write, and you need to go through those hard times in order to actually succeed in anything. And I definitely think that if you haven't had those yet, you are not going to see the success either soon. So I definitely think that what you can start thinking about is that it's not about the feelings. Like, those are usually our feelings, like, I don't want to do this, or like, I feel bad, I want to quit, or whatever. But you can still control your actions. So you can just continue day after day, even though you feel shitty or whatever. Like, you can still continue and continue working towards your goals. So I think it's just like dividing that this is what I'm feeling and this is what I'm actually doing. Because of course I have felt so bad at those moments when I was so tired, set badly with my firstborn, and still needed to continue to work. And I just did it. It wasn't anything, like, I didn't feel great about it even, but I just did it. And yeah, I hope that this helps.
Alright, first of all, you're awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing like a million times that it's hard, and it's still hard. And
I need to say that, like, usually I hear people thinking that it should flow or this should feel good, but like, why do you expect that? If it felt good, like, wouldn't everyone be super successful already?
no, it's never hard. It's never easy, sorry. It's always hard. It's a great question. And your English is perfect, so don't worry about that. Big clap for her, please. My question is, what did you actually tell your mentor when you fired him or her? Because that was a shitty mentor. No mentor should ever tell you that you can't do something. They should never tell you stuff, they should ask you questions. So how did you fire that person?
That's a good question. Actually, it was even more than that. Like, he was in his 40s, I think, and in very different situation than myself. So I think that he started to see that started to question even my goals, and why do you have even these bigger goals, and why would you need that? So that was the moment when I realized that I can continue working with this person, and what I said, it was just like, I don't even have money to continue working with you. I think that was the thing, because my business was lost because I had paid so much to that person. And I don't really regret doing that, because I learned still so much from him. And that's also something that I would want to encourage you to invest in yourself, because like I said about taking the radical responsibility, you always learn stuff from others, and you can learn from people who have already done it. So why would you need to struggle so much if somebody has already figured that out? So I think it was good for me to have a mentor, but at that point it was clear that we couldn't continue. So I just said that, okay, I don't have any money to continue paying you. And then when he said those things, it was clear that, okay, we can't. But I don't remember the exact conversation, but we are still in good terms. I didn't really burn the bridge. I don't really recommend doing that with anyone ever, because if you think in long term, you always remember that things come around, and Finland, for example, is a small country, so you definitely need to keep that in mind.
Yeah, thank you. We have a lot of questions at this table. Help for sharing your amazing story, and the fact that you 10x your company is fascinating. And could you share a little bit steps on what you do to actually achieve that?
Thank you, that's a good question. So I think the main thing was to quit everything that I had done before, because like I said, I had several online courses that I was selling before, and I was doing like new things every month. But at that point when I actually had that goal in mind that, okay, I want to see these 100,000 euro months in my business, like what do I need to do in order to reach that, I really had this narrow focus. Like I quit everything else, I just focused on one thing, and it was actually getting the first 5 clients to the program that I said that I created. But suddenly I had 30 clients in it. And then I knew that, okay, well now I'm onto something, and then my goal was to get really great results for those first 30 people. So that was my next super focused thing that I did. And I worked really hard. That's really, it was quite a small period of time when you think about it now afterwards. But I worked really hard, like 7 days a week, to just in making sure that everybody would get the results. And I actually promised all of those 30 people that I will answer any questions in 2 hours. So it was like shooting myself because I was like answering them all the time, and then also trying to sell it again because I didn't quit that. So I was doing the same. I was doing everything by myself at that point. But what I had learned in that point was that I need to really figure this out, and I want to be the best salesperson to sell this program, and I want to be the best coach to help my clients with it. Because previously I had tried to outsource and get the team to help me before I was so good at it. So now, when we have a new team member, I am really great at onboarding them and actually teaching them, because I have done it myself, and I've done it multiple times and for a lot of people, and sold it to hundreds. So I think that just like really figuring it out, having the narrow focus, focusing on sales, and then the product, of course, and then just moving from there. But I did so many, like I had so many failures afterwards, and I actually have filmed this YouTube video where I shared all the failures that I had, for example, last year, after the biggest year. But then you can go on YouTube and watch it if you know, if you did finish.
mentors? Like, how did you find the right person who is willing to become your mentor?
Well, I've had a lot of mentors in my life, and I would say that the right one is, that can be different at different times. So, for example, before I had the breakthrough in the business of getting the 30 clients to my program, I knew that I needed to learn this specific skill of doing sales organically without paid ads, because at that point I had already spent all my money on the ads, and I couldn't continue doing that. So I had this mentor teaching me specifically that skill. And then at other points, for example, last fall, I noticed that I had some lapse in my skill of leadership. So I hired this leadership coach to help me become a better leader. And now we have these sales consultants helping our business currently, because now I'm mostly with my baby, and we have Elena, who's actually here, leading the team, and now we have the help of the sales consultant to train our new salesperson, because I'm not there. Then it's also to make it more easier for Elena, and so it depends on the moment that you're in, definitely. So there isn't probably like one mentor who is the best for all the things.
So, yes.